Australians lose more from gambling per head of population than anywhere in the world.
We are connected.
And we've become a haven for the world's online gambling giants.
The Australian online betting industry has been the cash cow of the world's gambling industry.
Online bookmakers have been accused of predatory practices.
I was given the $50,000, I lost it in 40 minutes. They gave me $1 million in about 2 months.
Weak regulation has led to misery and exploitation.
I think it's absolutely crazy. How can you just allow or push people to gamble in excess of $4 million and not even blink an eyelid?
Months before she died, Labor MP Peter Murphy launched a blueprint on how to tackle gambling harm.
Our report is called You Win Some, You Lose More.
Over 2 years later, the Albanese government is yet to respond.
The gambling industry is all-powerful in this country. They have the major political parties in their back pocket.
Do you accept that the way in which the industry currently operates in Australia is destroying people's lives?
No. The vast majority of Australians who gamble with our products do so safely.
2 sporting legends have joined forces to call for action.
It's like 75% of teenagers now think that betting is just a normal part of watching sport.
And anecdotally, that's exactly what I saw.
Hi, Alistair.
We investigate the Albanese government's failure to act on gambling reform and the lack of regulation of this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Can I ask you why it's sometimes taking 3 to 4 years to hear people's complaints? When you do stories on gambling harm, you see the ripple effect that one person's out-of-control gambling can have on families and communities. And we're heading into Mildura to meet a couple who know that story all too well.
We found out just before Christmas that our money was gone. So that impacted our children. This has impacted our whole family. The mental toll it's taken on us, particularly Nick, it's been really difficult for him.
I don't even know how to explain it. I was just completely shocked. I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything. You just don't know where to turn, you don't know what to say, you don't even know how to feel. You just break down.
2 years ago, Nick and Amy Mazza lost $250,000 to online bookmakers without having placed a bet.
Okay. 15,000, 27,000, 15,000, 20,000, 6, 5, 8, 5, 7, all in the same day. It's ridiculous.
Our story begins with I was contacted by a financial advisor, Anthony Delvecchio, who worked for a Melbourne financial planning firm, Freedom Finance. Anthony said that Freedom Finance were seeking new clients to enter in some investments.
We looked into Anthony, we looked at the ASIC register, made sure he was registered, looked into the company, made sure they were a reputable company. We knew his parents, so we sort of thought, well, you know, he seems trustworthy, we should trust him. We had no reason not to trust him.
Instead, Anthony Delvecchio was gambling away the Mazza's investment. In April, he was sentenced to 7.5 years in jail for defrauding close to $4.5 million from over 30 clients, including family members.
It's soul-destroying when it happens to be defrauded, but it's soul-destroying even more when it's a family member that you trust and love.
While Delvecchio was held accountable for his actions, the betting agencies got off scot-free. In sentencing, Judge Cannane seemed incredulous about the behaviour of the betting agencies and the culture they operate in. The judge highlighted inducements offered to keep Delvecchio betting and said there was never a time when any gambling service questioned your conduct. She appeared shocked at the misery the betting agencies were inflicting on the community.
Such business practices by these betting companies embody the expression, the banality of evil, in my view. and is staggering that they are able to operate in our community in the ways that I've described with impunity.
They are evil. Did they ask where it was coming from? Did they stop to even care where it was coming from? Enticing them to make numerous bets, quite well knowing that they're going to lose, but with other people's money.
The judge noted that around 8 to 10 betting agencies had offered Delvecchio VIP services.
VIP schemes are managed customer programs where there's an individual who's assigned to get their customer to bet more, to keep on betting. They do that by offering what's called inducements. People get tickets to big events, matched bets. You deposit $500, we'll match it. And those amounts go up. The more someone bets, the larger the amounts are.
While Delvecchio went to jail, the bookmakers kept the proceeds of his crimes.
But no other industry would be able to keep proceeds of crime, so why are they allowed to keep it? It's not their money, and I sure didn't authorise them to have it, so I want it back.
Kai Cantwell is the CEO of Responsible Wagering Australia, an industry group that represents 6 betting companies, 4 of which Anthony Delvecchio gambled with.
Do you acknowledge the betting companies that you represent are profiting from criminal behaviour?
No.
Okay, well, Anthony Delvecchio had net losses of $750,000 with PointsBet, who are one of your members. That's money he stole from clients. You don't consider that company now to be profiting from criminal behaviour?
There are laws and rules that apply to all businesses in Australia, and we follow the law of the country and the law of Australia. Criminals need to be dealt with by the criminal justice system, and the victims pursue those criminals through victims of crime.
Give the call to the member for Clark.
Morning, Speaker. Speaker, I present the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Amendment.
On 3 separate occasions, Andrew Wilkie has tried to bring legislation to Parliament that would force betting agencies to hand back stolen money.
The bill will ensure that gambling entities are held accountable by preventing them profiting from illegal behaviour in particular.
Each time, it's been rejected.
The fact that at the federal level 3 times the government and the opposition have failed to act suggests to me, well, I think it proves to me, that they continue to run a protection racket for the gambling industry. I think every reasonable Australian would say, if we know who's got the money, that money should be returned to the victims.
I've never seen anything like this. Who does this?
For the first time, Amy and Nick are looking at the list from the forensic report that details Delvecchio's losses with 52 separate betting agencies.
That is just mind-blowing. How anyone can be able to spend that much money without any questions. I just can't believe it.
At the top of the list, a betting site called Indepth.
And he's lost a total of over $1 million to Indepth that they still have in their possession.
There they go, they're off. Slow into stride was Peggy Rose. It was on the back foot early door.
Joined by a very familiar face in the picnic racing bookies ring in Casey McCutcheon, also known as the Indepth man. And Casey, tell us...
Indepth is run by third-generation bookmaker Casey McCutcheon.
My old man's a bookie at in the Big Smoke in the city and the country.
Full forward from last. I think it's got there. Big win.
When I rang him, he wasn't keen to talk.
Okay. Did you ask for proof of income when Delvecchio gambled with you? They think you should return the money. Okay, he's hung up on me. All right.
I tried to catch him outside the Backing the Punt conference in Melbourne.
Casey, how are you? Steve Cannane from Four Corners. How are you? Can I talk to you?
Casey McCutcheon is the director and ultimate shareholder of Indepth. He's also its risk and compliance officer, which means it was up to him to do due diligence on big spending customers like Delvecchio while also profiting from them. Later that night, we got word that Casey McCutcheon was about to turn up at a betting industry function in Melbourne's Post Office Lane.
Nick and Amy Mazza say that you've got their money. What would you say to them?
They say you've got their proceeds of crime. You're the risk and compliance manager, aren't you, with Indepth? Doesn't that mean you should have checked whether he could have gambled that amount of money? Is there a conflict of interest being the risk and compliance manager?
If I saw Casey McCutcheon, I would just say, I do not know how you get up every morning and think that what you're doing is okay. I don't know how you sleep at night. You're living on our money.
Why wasn't anyone asking Delvecchio how much he was being paid and whether he had the money to lose $4.5 million?
We have a significant role in identifying problematic behaviour, whether it's criminal or whether it's problem gambling behaviours, and we report those to the authorities. And of course, we intervene where someone is exhibiting problem gambling behaviours.
But it's clearly not worked in this instance.
Look, those problem gambling and criminal type red flags that go off in our system, we are improving every day.
It is basically the Wild West of business in this country. I'd be hard-pressed to think of any other business sector in Australia that is so weakly regulated, so weakly overseen.
The location for the main regulator for online betting might surprise many Australians.
I've come to Darwin, the sports betting epicentre of Australia, a place where over 40 online bookmakers are licensed. Companies that are worth over $50 billion a year in turnover. I'm here to find out more about the part-time regulator that oversees all the big betting companies, the Northern Territory Racing and Wagering Commission, and try and talk to its chair, Alastair Shields, who seems like he's avoiding me.
The big betting agencies have been drawn to Darwin because they pay minimal tax here, and they face minimal regulation as well.
It was the Northern Territory's industry strategy to grow the racing and betting industry as a source of revenue for the Northern Territory. They lured operators there to become the jurisdiction of choice for the gambling industry.
In the Northern Territory, it's the weakest regulation, it's the lowest tax, and it's the most useless regulator. I mean, I'd liken the regulator up there to one of those so-called chocolate teapots. It's useless.
The regulator has no full-time staff, relying on support from Licensing NT, and has not released an annual report since 1993.
How do you run a regulator for the country that's got the highest per capita gambling losses in the world without full-time staff? If you compare it to, say, the UK Gambling Commission, it's got over 300 staff.
The NT Racing and Wagering Commission meets once a month and has 6 part-time commissioners.
Good morning, everybody.
The regulator has been accused of being too close to industry. Earlier this year, its chair, Alastair Shields, admitted to taking gifts from bookmakers.
So do you take gifts from corporate bookmakers at things like the Darwin Cup or not?
I have in the past attended the Darwin Cup as a guest.
Of bookmakers?
Yes.
Alastair Shields has led the commission for the past 7 years. He's refused repeated requests by Four Corners for an interview.
Alastair, Steve Cannane from Four Corners. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Steve.
Good to see you. Is there any reason why we can't talk to you for Four Corners?
Look, I'm sorry, I'm heading to a commission meeting now.
Can we talk to you afterwards?
I think I've already answered that
Can
question.
you tell us, have you taken any corporate hospitality of the sports betting industry lately? And if so, how often? Can we talk to you after the meeting? How long does the meeting go for? Can you tell us how many hours you spend as the regulator here? Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Christopher Walsh is the editor of the NT Independent. He can't understand how Alastair Shields finds the time to regulate Australia's biggest betting companies.
How many jobs does Alastair Shields have?
Well, many, a lot, and we're not even entirely sure. From what we can tell, he has at least 9 positions on different boards and commissions in different roles as chair, mostly, deputy chair, member. It's extraordinary.
That doesn't leave much time to be the chair of the regulator overseeing betting agencies with an annual turnover of $50 billion plus.
Yeah, no, Look, I don't know how he does it. I mean, he's also the chief executive officer of the Darwin Waterfront Corporation and the chair of the Australasia Railway Corporation at the same time. And on top of that, being chair of Racing and Wagering Commission, he's also a member of the Racing Appeals Tribunal. He's also the director of Greyhounds Australasia.
Many of those responsible for regulating Australia's online bookmakers have had close ties to the industry. Four Corners has discovered that 6 of the past 10 commissioners have owned racehorses at various times, including Alastair Shields and Ian Curnow.
Ian, can I ask you if you still own a racehorse or a share in a racehorse?
No comment.
Is it appropriate that people who are regulating the industry have shares in racehorses?
I think the criteria in the Act for selection to committees speaks for itself, and you should talk to the minister who appoints people to the commissions around their eligibility.
6 of the last 10 commissioners have had shares in racehorses. Is that a problem? Does that show that the commissioners are too close to the industry?
No comment.
Commissioners used to be banned from owning racehorses, but by 1996, that clause had been removed from the Territory's Racing and Betting Act. Former Commissioner Amy Corcoran also owned racehorses and declared that her husband owned a share of a horse with Matt Tripp, one of the pioneers of online betting in Australia. However, she did not recuse herself from matters involving Mr. Tripp's betting agencies. In a statement, she said,
"My husband has never met or had any communication with Mr. Tripp, either during that period of syndicate ownership or since."
After leaving the Commission, Amy Corcoran joined betting agency Dabble. When we asked the Commission about conflicts of interest, a spokesperson said the Department of Tourism and Hospitality will be reviewing the management of potential conflicts of interest within the Racing and Wagering Commission, and that under the Racing and Wagering Act, commissioners are supposed to have knowledge or experience in the racing or online gambling industries. Critics accuse the Commission of favouring the industry. Four Corners' analysis of over 170 published decisions shows 2/3 of them found no breach against the betting agencies. Lauren Levine believes the regulator is too close to industry and says she saw evidence of it at wagering forums in 2022 and 2023.
I heard Alastair Shields proudly say to the industry participants that 2 of their commissioners owned racehorses. And it was said in the context of, we welcome you guys, we like the industry. I heard Phil Timney talk. He was the executive director of the department that oversees the Racing Commission. He said, we've never cancelled a licence. We can, but we never have. He said, we're unashamedly the racing and gambling jurisdiction and are open for business.
Four Corners has confirmed the Northern Territory Racing and Wagering Commission has never cancelled a licence due to disciplinary action. Philip Timney told Four Corners, "I have no interest in talking to the media." When you look at the cases that have appeared before the Commission, you really get a sense of how the betting agencies are rarely held to account.
It was here in Darwin at the NT Racing Commission in April 2021 that a contentious hearing was about to be held, involving a former professional footballer who had been enticed to open an account with BetEasy under his wife's name. It was a case that exposed the predatory practices of the industry and the inadequacies of the regulator in dealing with them.
The man at the centre of this case, who we're calling Dave, was known to BetEasy as an out-of-control gambler who didn't want to punt anymore after losing over $200,000 in one day. Dave has signed a non-disclosure agreement. Jason Munsterman is his lawyer.
At the end of the day, he had the good sense to close his account and had himself listed with BetEasy as a self-excluded gambler, which meant that from there on, he couldn't open accounts or place any bets with BetEasy, and he also was not to be contacted by them any further.
A year later, Dave was contacted by a BetEasy affiliate, John Dowd Jr., and encouraged to open an account under his wife's name.
So affiliates ultimately are motivated to find people like Dave and encourage them to bet because they receive a commission based on the value of the bets that they place. In this case, the affiliate was John Dow, and he was a relative of Matt Tripp, a significant shareholder and CEO of BetEasy.
At the time, Dave was in a vulnerable state, with 2 children in hospital.
In total, he lost over $700,000 really on a couple of days of betting.
Jason Munsterman helped Dave bring a case against BetEasy at the Northern Territory Racing Commission.
What we found was the Commission had very limited powers to be able to compel people to produce documents or to actually attend before the Commission, and the hearings were not conducted with the level of professionalism and rigour that I would have anticipated.
The Commission found that BetEasy breached 2 conditions of its licence by not complying with the Responsible Gaming Code on multiple occasions and by having a blatant disregard of its own terms and conditions. It described BetEasy's failures as extremely serious, but chose not to suspend its licence. Matt Tripp declined to comment. John Dow Jr. did not respond.
The ultimate punishment handed out to BetEasy was a total of fines in the order of $50,000, and the affiliate, we understand, received in the order of $200,000 in commissions, and there was no clawing back or fines imposed on the affiliate at all.
So it's not exactly a disincentive to prevent that kind of behaviour?
Not at all.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon, and the Northern Territory Racing and Wagering Commission has clocked off after its monthly meeting.
Hi, Alistair. Meeting's over. Can you talk to us now? Is that a no? Can I ask you why it's sometimes taking 3 to 4 years to hear people's complaints? Can I also ask you, when Amy Corcoran was a commissioner, her husband owned a horse with Matt Tripp. Why did she not recuse herself from those hearings? Can you tell us that?
Thanks.
I wanted to find out if other gambling regulators around the world operate like this.
A big part of the market actually disappeared.
I tracked down Anders Dorf, the regulator in Denmark.
The Danish Gambling Authority has 150 employees, and we have a budget around 13 million euros.
How do you make sure the people regulating the industry in Denmark are at arm's length from the industry?
Well, we're not allowed to have any conflict of interest with the operators, of course. In Denmark, we cannot take corporate hospitality from a bookmaker.
Anders says his regulator makes sure the betting agencies honour their duty of care to customers and strictly monitor their betting behaviour.
Online betting operators has to comply with the rules and the duty of care. And within these rules, you have to follow the pattern of the gambler and make sure they don't gamble too much. In the ultimate situation, they have to show the pay package and how their financial situation looks like. And then if it's sound, it can go on. But if it's not sound, they have to limit the gambler or exclude the gambler.
A legend of Australian sport touches down in Canberra. He's here to urge the government to act on gambling reforms.
I've been a part of sport a long time. I've seen gambling ruin a lot of lives. The fact that we're advertising it every day during sporting events, during sporting games, is desensitizing kids and normalizing it. That's why I'm here. I think we have a responsibility not to do that, particularly to our younger generation.
Jumper, great to see you, Jumper.
There you go.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You too. How's the flight?
Test cricketer Usman Khawaja is joining forces with former Wallaby captain Senator David Pocock to push for a ban on gambling advertising.
It's like 75% of teenagers now think that betting is just a normal part of watching sport.
And anecdotally, that's exactly what I saw.
Like, what's sport for? Is it to be able to flog off like a harmful product, for industries to be able to advertise, or is it about community and learning life skills?
Welcome along to viewers all around the world. It's a series.
As an Australian Test cricketer, Usman Khawaja can't avoid gambling ads.
Along with Usman Khawaja.
Each time you go out to bat in a Test match in Australia, you step over a boundary rope with Bet365 on it. How do you feel when you do that?
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm going to be honest. I've brought this up with the Australian Cricket Association. We're Australia's national sport. We are cricket. We're the biggest sport in the country. I think we have a responsibility to lead the way.
Short to Khawaja. He's on 94. Oh. Not anymore. He's not. 100 for King Khawaja.
Cricket is less reliant on gambling money than the big football codes. And unlike the NRL and the AFL, its leadership is not actively lobbying against an ad ban. The sporting codes are saying if you get rid of the gambling advertising revenue, it's going to affect the grassroots. What do you say to that?
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I mean, people in Australia love sport. They were playing sport when they weren't getting paid peanuts. We still love sport. We still play sport. It's a cop-out.
On behalf of the Standing Committee on Social Policy and Legal Affairs...
Much of the impetus to ban gambling advertising came from a Labor backbencher who used to be an elite athlete.
We know that online gambling companies advertise so much in Australia because advertising works.
Peter Murphy chaired the cross-parliamentary committee that released a groundbreaking review into online gambling over 2 years ago.
We heard evidence about the way gambling advertising also grooms children and young people to gamble and encourages riskier behaviour.
One of the things I loved about it is this committee had representation from all across the political spectrum, and we were all there to solve this problem that we all really cared about. All the people on that committee really were seeing the social harms that it was causing in their own communities.
The committee made 31 recommendations, including banning gambling advertising, bringing in a national regulator, and banning inducements and commissions. 5 months after tabling this report, Peter Murphy died from cancer.
A short time ago, Peter Murphy passed away at home, which was her wish. She helped lead the charge for important reforms like reducing the harm from online gambling because she understood the greatest privilege of public office is the opportunity to make a difference.
I'm really furious about the lack of action on this report. It's now more than 2 years, and not only have they not implemented any recommendations, they haven't even responded. And people on both sides of Parliament have said to me, you've got to keep it up. It's hard for me to talk about this within my party.
What's stopping the government from acting?
The barrier to the government acting here is money and power. And gambling companies donate millions of dollars to political parties. They don't want to see any change. Sporting codes get multiple revenue streams from gambling ads, and they don't want to see this change. And broadcast media make a huge amount of money from these ads. They don't want this to change.
Kai Cantwell is one of the lobbyists pushing against key recommendations of the Murphy Review, such as a total ban on advertising. He's often seen at Parliament House and parliamentary football games.
Why doesn't the industry support a total ban?
Because total bans won't be effective. Total bans will simply drive Australian consumers into the illegal offshore market where there are no consumer protections.
What's the evidence of that?
We've seen evidence internationally. So we've seen evidence in Norway, Denmark, Sweden. There is a swathe of evidence across the world that says that overregulation drives people into the illegal offshore market.
But the regulators from those 3 countries say that's not true.
No, the restrictions in 2020 didn't lead to a bigger offshore market.
Regulatory bodies in Norway and Sweden have also told Four Corners that illegal offshore betting has been decreasing in their countries.
Whenever any government wants to regulate the gambling industry, they say, oh, everyone's going to go offshore, and they unregulate it. The bank figures show that it's just a really small percentage who are going overseas. I think the industry overstates that.
But that hasn't stopped the Prime Minister from using similar rhetoric.
What is in your mind, I guess, preventing this action?
What's in our mind is practicalities of whether people just go offshore, then there's no revenue at all. They engage in gambling with no revenue coming back at all, and it doesn't solve the problem. Thank the member for Warringah for her question.
There were further eyebrows raised when the Prime Minister suggested that lotteries were causing more harm than online betting.
More than around about 15% off the top of my head, it's about that figure, comes from lotteries and lotto and those tickets as well. I'm yet to see anyone stand up in this place and advocate banning completely all advertising of lottery and lotto tickets.
I've tried to dig into this at estimates where you ask the department, where did these stats come from? No one knows. No one has any idea. And the only two people who've said them publicly are Peter V'landys and the Prime Minister, and that's a real worry.
NRL Chairman Peter V'landys is one of the fiercest critics of an ad ban. Records of the Prime Minister's diary show he has had official meetings with Anthony Albanese at least 3 times since Peter Murphy's report was handed down. Peter V'landys, who is also CEO of Racing New South Wales, is credited with bringing big money into the NRL from the gambling companies. Former NRL executives have told Four Corners the game and its clubs now make close to $100 million a year from gambling sponsorships and product fees. Peter V'landys has described a proposed ad ban as nanny state ideology. The Prime Minister was not available for interview, and his office did not provide answers to a list of questions. From inside prison, Gavin Fineff has written to the Prime Minister asking him to rein in the gambling companies. Why are you talking to Four Corners?
I care about reducing harm, Steve. I caused a lot of it myself. I experienced a lot of it myself. I've seen the harm to families and everyone around me, and I've got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. I'm speaking because the only way to make sense of all that harm is to do something about it.
A former financial planner, Gavin Fineff is serving a 9-year sentence for defrauding over $3 million from clients to fund his gambling addiction. He spoke to Peter Murphy's parliamentary inquiry in 2023 and says the government should act now on 3 key recommendations.
They must cancel inducements immediately. If they want to offer a marketing effort to customers, then offer better odds. Cancel commissions. That's obvious. That if staff receive more money based on customers losing more money, then that smells straight away. And cancel advertising.
I first met Gavin Fineff 5 years ago, before he'd been arrested. His out-of-control gambling, which destroyed the lives of others, had been fuelled by VIP inducements.
The VIP managers play a crucial role in inducing consumers to open accounts and also inducing them to continue gambling. They usually have a direct line of communication. They're usually chatting to them on the mobile phone, establishing rapport, building a friendship.
Gavin Fineff says he lost $3.9 million with Tabcorp before they first asked for proof of income. It was only after that his account was closed. Then, out of the blue, he got calls from VIP managers at Ladbrokes and BetEasy, who knew of his gambling history.
I didn't know these 2 guys. I was approached, offered quite a bit of money to open an account with them. You put $50,000 in front of an addict, especially one that owes nearly $4 million. I'm going to say yes.
The more inducements he was offered, the more he misappropriated funds from clients to get deposit matches. hoping he could claw back his losses.
I was given the 50,000. I lost it in 40 minutes. I got another 50,000 the next day. They gave me $1 million in about 2 months. Those last two gambling companies gave me combined $3.5 million worth of free betting money, and I lost $4.4 million. And that happened in 18 months.
The Northern Territory Racing Commission investigated both Ladbrokes and BetEasy and fined both companies.
In the example of Ladbrokes, the profit from Gavin was $750,000. The fine that they received was $78,000. BetEasy made $3.6 million in profit from Gavin from his betting activity. Their fine was just shy of $80,000. What kind of disincentive is that penalty?
Natalia Nikolic believes the NT Racing Commission failed not just Gavin, but the public.
You have systematic failures to ask basic questions about the source of funds that he was gambling with. You have VIP managers that are inducing his betting activity, and the NTRC did not think that this was significant enough for them to either say that the bets were unlawful or make any changes to the licensing conditions that these operators were able to operate under.
Another regulator is dialing up the pressure on the betting agencies. Austrac has launched legal proceedings against online gambling giant Entain, who runs Ladbrokes and Neds. Its bombshell statement of claim identifies the staggering degree to which betting agencies rely on VIP customers.
We do know the top 2% of their customers brought in 65% of their revenue, and that really is a concern when any business is reliant on a small number of customers for a significant amount of its revenue.
Former betting industry insiders have told Four Corners they're incentivised to prey on this small minority of high-value gamblers. We've been told of weekly emails sent to VIP managers urging them to target certain customers. Emails with graphs and spreadsheets showing which punters are up, which punters are down, like a form guide on who to target. And we've been told that some VIP managers make more than company executives, with some boasting of making around $500,000 in commissions alone during the spring racing carnival.
I'm horrified that this industry can continue to operate in this way with impunity, and we just turn a blind eye to it.
Do you think VIP schemes are harmful at all?
No.
Well, if they're not harmful, why did the betting agencies in the UK agree to restrict VIP schemes?
Well, I won't provide commentary on what's happening in the UK, but what I will say is VIP customers are treated exactly the same with regard to consumer protections.
Kai Cantwell is wrong. VIP programs are hugely harmful, and other regulators overseas have recognised that.
Austrac alleges Entain, the parent company of Ladbrokes and Neds, failed to comply with Australia's anti-money laundering laws. The problem was its VIP programs. Austrac alleges the company was not doing proper checks on 17 of its most lucrative VIP customers.
Well, our statement of claim identifies those 17 clients, and they've gambled more than $100 million through that business. So that shows the volume of money a small number of people can churn through in a relatively short period of time.
When VIP gamblers lose, their VIP managers win big from commissions. The Murphy Review recommended abolishing these commissions, and now Austrac has identified them as a conflict of interest.
Well, it encourages a greater amount of gambling, and it encourages potentially perverse behaviour where people might be encouraged to turn a blind eye to what might be illicit behaviour. And we've certainly seen that numerous times in gambling businesses in Australia.
Despite all of these concerns, the industry continues to pay commissions on gamblers' losses.
Do you think they're a conflict of interest?
No.
Austrac says they are. Australia's anti-money laundering regulator says these commissions are a conflict of interest. Do you disagree with Austrac on this?
I think it's a challenging topic, but as I say, it's largely a practice that is on its way out in Australia.
Sportsbet has told Four Corners it's abolished the payment of commissions. In a statement, Entain said they have fully cooperated with AUSTRAC and made significant changes to their leadership and governance, as well as increasing resources for compliance and safer gambling.
It's a big question.
Gavin Fineff was targeted as a VIP customer by 3 different betting agencies. He wants policymakers to understand how vulnerable people with a gambling disorder are to the tactics of VIP managers.
The overwhelming feeling is just this chasing rage, this tightening of the chest. There's just an energy that would come up in you and just have the effect of narrowing everything into doing what needs to be done to chase the losses. And you believe that you can do it. Otherwise, why would I keep doing it?
At Parliament House, Usman Khawaja and David Pocock have joined a roundtable on gambling harm.
Once we normalise gambling, it's so hard to come back from that.
Kate, who doesn't want to be identified, lost her brother to suicide. She's about to address the room via video link.
What does it look like for someone to lose $10,000 a year to the gambling industry? I can paint this picture for you because this is exactly the burden that our 24-year-old brother was carrying 6 days before he ended his life. On this particular day, he walked into the kitchen with pain all over his face, and I could tell something was wrong, so I comforted him. "Are you okay? You need to borrow some money?" He could barely find the words, but he did need to borrow $10,000. 6 days later, my dad, sister and I found him 500 metres from our childhood home. The sound Dad made, the look on my sister's face haunts me every moment of every day. As he stated in his suicide note, "I'm so disgusted and revolted with myself that I want to end my life before my addiction ruins more people around me." The final straw was continuing to receive inducements from Sportsbet after he had self-excluded. He felt that he had no way out.
Tim Costello says he told the Prime Minister about Kate's brother's suicide and urged him to talk to the family.
This year, I have written 9 times to various ministers seeking a meeting about gambling harm. Tim Costello said to the Prime Minister he should contact people with lived experience to understand gambling harm. I waited for that opportunity, but I never heard from him. Thank you.
As elected representatives, we're here to work for people. We're not here to do the bidding of the gambling industry or Peter V'landys and the NRL. We have to put people and communities ahead of vested interests. And I think this is a perfect example of what happens when vested interests apply pressure. You see currently the Labor government capitulating.
Annika Wells is the minister in charge of responding to the recommendation to ban advertising. She was also a close friend of Peter Murphy's. Like the Prime Minister, she was unavailable for interview, so we turned up at a doorstop she did in Sydney last week.
Minister, for weeks, Four Corners has been trying to get an interview with you about the government's inaction on the Murphy Review and the 31 recommendations. It's now nearly 2.5 years since that report was released by your friend. Why has the government not acted on that yet?
Hi, Steve. I believe we spoke briefly in Parliament a few weeks ago. The work continues. It's important work. I continue to talk to and engage with stakeholders about how we plot a path through to deliver some important reforms.
Is it the Prime Minister who's blocking this?
The work continues. There is no blockage. It's complex work, and if it was easy to have been completed, we would have completed it already. However, the work continues. It's important, and I'm grateful to be doing it.
And what did you think of Peter Murphy's response?
In the next few months, the Albanese government will be under pressure to respond to Peter Murphy's review.
I have a high regard for Anthony Albanese. I think he is a man of integrity, but in this regard, this is a shocking failure. This failure to move quickly to implement all or most of the Peter Murphy report recommendations.
I think many of her colleagues would be pretty sad and disappointed and would feel like that's not really doing honour to the legacy that she was hoping to leave and that she deserved to leave.
Hello, I'm Courtney. Hi, Courtney.
Months before she died, Peter Murphy was hopeful the government would act on her report. It remains to be seen whether she had cause to be optimistic.
You lose more. So I'm positive that we will see a very strong response from the government. They understand, I know, that Australians want to see some change. So I think it will make a big difference to their lives. Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much.
If this program has raised concerns for you, you can contact one of these services.